Ready?
Go.
Alright, so my name is Andrew Martin, and the case I'm going to be debating over is I believe that the humans are the reason for the disappearance of the North American megafauna.
And I'm Garrett Woldridge, and I'm arguing that climate change is a major cause for the extinction of the North American megafauna.
So the reason I believe that humans are the reason for the disappearance of these animals is because at the beginning of these animals' lives, there were no humans that occupied this land. And they had all the land to roam. They didn't have to worry about any other predators because they were the biggest of them all. But actually, I was looking back, and there was actually a pattern that I found that when the humans first started appearing is when we actually really started to see these megafauna disappear. And because these people, these early humans that occupied this land could really only rely on their skills of hunting to be able to thrive and be prosperous and feed their appetites, many of them would hunt these giant beasts because of the large amount of meat that these animals contained. And they also contain a lot of fur to keep the humans warm. I found this idea online. It's called the overkill hypothesis. Just as it sounds, it's just on the premise that these humans literally killed off the North American megafauna. Because the humans had very few resources to rely on, it does make sense for them to go after these large animals in order to continue their survival in the harsh conditions they were given. About 40 years ago, a scientist named Paul Martin actually came up with the idea of the humans killing them, and it's been a constant debate over the years. But actually what some paleontologists and geologists have found is that many fossils of the mammoths and mastodons that existed, they show large cuts and scratches on the bone from spears and knives and different weapons that the humans would use. This evidence does show in large part that humans had something to do with this disappearance. Humans have also been known throughout society to kind of invade people's spaces and kind of take it over as their own. So these animals were mostly living in the humans' world when they first arrived. Another possibility, other than the humans hunting down these animals, is they could have possibly brought foreign disease to the country, which maybe could have killed off the animals because they weren't used to having these diseases. And at an early age, you can imagine these humans would be teaching their kids and even like girls and stuff, they'd give them spears and knives at a young age so they could be used to the idea of hunting down these beasts. Even recently, humans are reason to blame for a lot of the mass extinctions just because of our overpopulating and just the way our lives, what they consist of. I found online a lead author, Lewis J. Bartlett, stated, "As far as we are concerned, this research is the nail in the coffin of this 50-year debate. Humans were the dominant cause of the extinction of the megafauna." And they said, "What we don't know is what it was about these early settlers that caused the demise, but I believe that they would group up and just hunt the animals for their own benefit." Humans were never really able to live in harmony with these beasts because of their large need for food and protection. There has been a lot of research done that shows, like I said earlier, a certain pattern that fits the mold of when humans did start occupying the land of North America about 10,000 years ago. There was a small window when these animals started declining. So I think that kind of speaks for itself that I believe that humans are the main reason for this extinction.
Although I believe that humans had a big impact in the extinction of these animals, I think the larger impact is climate change. As we've learned in this class, climate changes have drastic impacts on the survival of all living plants and animals. Most of the mass extinctions, the 5 major ones, the major cause of them was climate change, although comets and asteroids as well as other factors have come into play. But climate change has been at the forefront of most of those extinctions. It can throw off the fragile balance of an ecosystem when a climate changes too drastically at too short a time. And can have a monumental impact on the survival of certain species, which have adapted so well to their environments. The megafauna came into existence in response to a gradual cooling of the Earth, as it provided the right environment for these large animals to thrive. However, as the temperature climate of Eurasia and North America shifted from tundra to vast forests, the megafauna were replaced by animals better suited for the forest environment, such as deer, elk, and bears. Megafauna mostly existed during the Pleistocene epoch, which was the first part of the Pleistocene epoch, which is the first part of the Quaternary period. Quaternary. During this time period, sea levels were drastically changing due to the melting of the giant glaciers that used to dominate the Earth. Research shows that North America, Europe, Siberia, and Alaska, extinction of large mammals occurred in 2 major instances, which coincide with times of drastic climate change. Also, and I know we're talking about North America, but an example of why climate change is important. In Australia, the climate changed during the Quaternary period from cold dry to warm dry. This dried up most of the inland surface water, and the large animals that dominated this area had difficulty adapting to the changing habitat with less readily available water, and populations decreased rapidly. There were no humans in this area during this time, which shows that they can go extinct even without other influences. The overkill theory, which Andrew mentioned, is a theory that humans literally hunted the megafauna to extinction rather than other factors, including climate change. But although they obviously hunted these animals for the meat and for the fur they provided, there is little evidence which suggests that human hunting systematically overkilled the megafauna. The first reason is that it is unlikely in the relatively low populations of humans that were around where the megafauna resided. Human populations simply hadn't increased enough to hunt these beasts to extinction. Also, scientists have used radiocarbon dating to prove that these animals existed long before the first humans appeared, giving humans a very small window in the grand scheme of things to hunt them into extinction. In Eurasia, pre-sapien hominins, which are prehistoric humans, hunted the megafauna for 400,000 years during a time of little climate change without causing extinction. This shows that although humans hunted these beasts regularly, they still couldn't cause extinction. Times where human hunting and climate change occurred simultaneously show the highest levels of extinction rates, obviously, but human hunting alone doesn't show the same rates that climate change shows alone. The population of megafauna were already on the decline due to changing climates before the existence of humans, proving that humans had little to blame with the complete extinction of the beasts, although they certainly didn't help the increase in numbers. That's my position.
All right. Rebuttal?
Yeah.
All right. Garrett did make some good points about climate change and how that could be a factor for these animals' extinction. However, I think that maybe the climate change could have started off by diminishing the amount of these animals by a little bit, which I think possibly could have given more time for the humans and it'd make it easier for these humans to actually push these animals to extinction. Although climate change is a big part of every extinction, the fact that there's humans involved in this one, I think speaks for itself that the mass extinction was in part caused by climate, but in even larger part caused by humans. I think a change in the climate would be kind of be a little too drawn out to be able to kill all these animals off as quickly as they did. It adds up that when the first humans did start appearing on this earth, we saw a major decline in these animals. And as I stated earlier, the fact that there's actual evidence of these fossils with knife marks and spear marks on them kind of speaks to the fact that I think these humans did put a focus on these animals as their main source of food and fur. Also, the fact that there's been research done of kind of these possible different ways that these animals were killed off. And they did mention climate as one of the reasons, but they also mentioned that they think that humans were a much larger part because they were able to kill these animals off faster. That's kind of all.
Yeah, well, Andrew's made some good points about, I definitely think the humans had definitely sped up the process of the extinction. Just what I would say is why climate change is more important is because these beasts are really big. Most of these animals are really very big. That we're talking about mammoths. They're not easy to catch and kill. Hunting takes a whole tribe of hunting men to catch just one, woolly mammoth. So, and that would feed them for probably a month, their whole tribe. And the populations of human just wasn't large enough to make these beasts extinct. I just think, as seen in other extinctions, like I said before, climate change has always just been at the forefront, as it is now with global warming obviously still an issue. Climate change just has the most drastic impact as it changes the chemistry of the water, of the land. It can impact things silently rather than, it might seem, you see scratch marks on the animals and it might seem that humans are the most likely source of this extinction, but I think climate change is more important.
I think,
Good.
yeah.
All right.
How much time have we got?